Emily appeared confused when I asked her about the opposing party's attitude during the business discussion in a professional environment. "Henry, is this your first time?" she inquired. "You have to brush off this kind of joke when it's for a woman." I wanted to scratch my head at the excuse-like tone she used. "Oh, I apologize. I was joking," I said. "It was a joke." Emily gave my words a perplexed glance. "A joke about what?" I told her the truth after noticing her bewilderment. "I'm not a newbie assigned to sales." My disclosure caused Emily's eyes to widen. "Henry is my name. My age is 42 right now. A young, pretty woman is standing in front of me. She is 29 years old and goes by Emily. Her almond-shaped, double-lidded eyes are especially captivating, and her face is petite yet has distinguishing features. She has a fantastic physique and a slim body." I kept my eyes on her face and smiled gently, trying not to look too much. "The thing is, while you were on leave, Henry from the regional branch was assigned to the main office's sales department," remarked Chris, our sales manager. "He went on to say, and I'd like you to take him along on your sales calls to Emily." Emily scowled. Come with me, would you? Since I've just been here a year, I believe it would be more advantageous to watch the senior staff." Chris interrupted her before she could say anything more. "He's watched a number of salespeople over the last 3 days." "Yes, Henry?" When asked, I smiled and nodded, saying, "Yes, I have learned a lot. Everyone agreed that you are great, so I would love to go with you." I bowed, trying to sound as excited as I could. Emily appeared to be humbled. "Oh, great is exaggerated. Stop that, please." Her agitated response was endearing as well. "You indicated that driving in the area you're visiting today is challenging due to the large number of one-way streets, correct? Could you enlist him, even if only as a driver?" Chris inquired. She couldn't possibly turn down Chris's plea. "Understood," she grudgingly responded. She still seemed a little reluctant for some reason. As she apologized for taking 3 days off at the start of the new fiscal year, she lowered her long eyelashes. Chris gave a nice smile. "As an employee, you have the right to take paid leave. Don't be afraid to take it if you're feeling ill, but don't take too much." His words of kindness appeared to bring relief to her face. As a result, I was permitted to go on sales calls with Emily, the bright young star. I settled into the driver's seat of the business vehicle and shifted seats. After a brief moment of hesitation, she appeared relieved and climbed into the back seat. As I set my bag on the passenger seat, I struck up a casual conversation as I started the car slowly. Although I was pleased to be promoted to the main office, I never imagined that at my age I would be moved to a totally different department. "I'm sure you were taken aback. A newbie is an old person like me." Emily's eyes widened when I gave her a playful look in the rearview mirror. "A completely different department?" I nodded. "I worked in the branch office's accounting department. I was genuinely surprised to go from a boring accounting position to our company's glitzy sales division." Her face brightened when I chuckled. "Bookkeeping. You worked in accounting, right?" "Actually, my career goal was to work in accounting." Her words made me raise my eyebrows. "Really? And yet you were assigned to sales? You must have been outstanding during training. That's amazing." When I said that, she looked down. "I'm not that great," she replied, sounding downcast. I smiled to encourage her. "Sales is the star department of our company. Being selected for it is impressive. Have confidence in yourself." However, Emily's expression didn't brighten. Just then, we entered a narrow alley. "From here, the road is filled with complex one-way streets," I noted, focusing on driving. Our conversation came to a halt, and during the pause, Emily took a mask out of her bag and quietly put it on. "Oh, do we need masks? I should have one." Thinking it might be a courtesy requirement, I mentally checked my belongings, but I was sure I had one. However, Emily shook her head. I was off sick until yesterday. I might pass it on to the client." Her voice was clear, without any nasal sound or flame. Feeling a bit puzzled, I parked the car in the designated lot and turned off the engine. We both got out of the car and walked towards the client's company. After about a minute, a large office building came into view. Emily, walking a bit ahead, suddenly stopped. Wondering what was wrong, I was about to ask, but she had a tense expression and didn't look like she wanted to be spoken to. Remaining silent, she took a deep breath and said, "Let's go," entering the building with determination. After checking in at reception and waiting for a while, a tall, slender man appeared from the elevator. "Emily, long time no see," he called out, raising his hand. He seemed a bit frivolous but was handsome. Emily bowed deeply. "I'd apologize for not being able to visit the other day." The man waved his hand dismissively. "No worries. More importantly, are you okay? If I had your personal contact info, I could have visited you." I frowned slightly. "Oh no, a visit is too much. I'm sorry for causing a delay in the delivery schedule," Emily continued, still bowing. "It's fine. Your boss suggested sending someone else, but I insisted on you. Let's go to the meeting room I've reserved." Only then did the man acknowledge my presence. "Oh, is this person with you?" Emily nodded. "This is Henry, who recently transferred. He's accompanying me as a driver today. Henry, this is Alex." I bowed deeply and introduced myself. "I'm Henry. Nice to meet you." When I looked up, Alex looked utterly indifferent. "Yeah, nice to meet you," he added. "I wanted it to be just the two of us," Emily said in a light-hearted tone, forcing a strange smile. Their exchange left a black cloud of frustration hanging over me, and I sighed lightly. We entered the conference room, but Alex continued with small talk. "Are you fully recovered? How about we celebrate your recovery? I'd love to have you treat me sometime, just the two of us. I know a great French restaurant. Is this what sales conversations are like?" Having worked in accounting for so long, I found it hard to grasp this kind of small talk. "No, as you can see, I still need to wear a mask," Emily gently declined. Alex seemed dissatisfied. "Come on, you need the mask. Take it off." Emily's eyes clouded over. "I feel bad if I infected you." Alex responded with a smile. "It's okay. I never catch colds. Not seeing your cute face is what makes me feel unwell." He seemed to think he was joking, but Emily clearly wasn't amused. I reached for the bag beside her. "You've prepared the materials, right? Shall I hand them out?" Emily flinched a little but then raised her voice slightly. "Oh yeah, please do." I nodded with a smile, handed the materials to Alex, and placed some in front of Emily as well. After bowing, she looked directly at Alex. "Now let me present next month's delivery schedule and introduce our new products. Thank you for your time." Shifting from small talk to a serious tone, Emily's professionalism was evident. Though Alex seemed somewhat displeased, he nodded. Her handling of the meeting was impeccable. Regarding next month's deliveries, it seemed like a routine discussion. Her presentation was smooth and flawless. Notably, her introduction of new products was outstanding. She clearly outlined the benefits compared to current products and emphasized the profit margin despite the higher prices. Any questions were answered promptly, without even looking at the documents. It was proof she had thoroughly studied the materials. After completing her explanation, Alex seemed inclined to consider her proposals positively, signaling the end of the meeting. "But then, Emily, you know you lack assertiveness." Alex's comment made the room freeze slightly. "I think you should use the assets you have. If you did, you'd have me wrapped around your finger." Unable to bear his lecherous gaze, I stepped in. "What assets are you referring to?" My blunt question made Alex frown. "What?" Feigning ignorance. I smiled. "If there are such assets, I'd love to know." Alex's face darkened with annoyance. Never mind, it's not important. As his mood soared, I stood up abruptly. My apologies. Shall we go, Emily? We have a tight schedule ahead, right? Emily, startled by my abruptness, stood up as well, her eyes wide. Oh, yes, she stammered. I bowed deeply to Alex and said loudly, "Thank you very much for today. It was very educational," and turned to leave. Well, excuse us. Emily hurriedly followed me out of the conference room. Oh, wait, hold on. I thought I heard Alex's confused voice, but we kept walking, bowing to the receptionist and briskly heading to the parking lot. Once in the car and out of the maze of one-way streets, I let out a big sigh. Wow, what was that all about? Emily knitted her eyebrows in confusion at my question. What do you mean? I mean Alex's attitude. It looked like harassment to me. Emily's eyes widened for a moment, then she quickly looked down. In that brief moment, I thought I saw her eyes glisten. Oh, that's an exaggeration. That's normal. I opened my eyes wide in disbelief. Normal? What's normal about that? Asking for a private dinner, wanting to visit you when you're sick, and staring at you. That's not normal. She remained looking down. Not normal. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. That kind of conversation doesn't belong in a business setting. When I said this firmly, Emily faced forward. In a business setting, Henry, this is your first time in sales, right? We women have to brush off this kind of joke. Her excuse-like tone made me want to scratch my head. Oh, sorry, I was just kidding. Emily looked puzzled at my words. Kidding about what? Seeing her confusion, I revealed the truth. I'm not a newbie assigned to sales. I'm sorry for deceiving you. Chris asked me to. I then explained to her how Chris had asked me for a favor 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I started my new role at the main office, making rounds to greet each department. In the sales department, I reunited with a familiar face. Henry, long time no see. It's been 12 years. I was welcomed by a beaming Chris. I felt my eyes water as I bowed deeply. Chris, it's an honor to see you. I heard you became the sales department manager. That's impressive. Chris laughed and patted my back. What are you saying? You're younger than me, and you came back as the accounting manager. I scratched my head at his words. Accounting isn't popular. They needed someone for the young leadership policy, and I was just the right fit, though I did work hard. 12 years ago, I worked at the main office and was transferred to a newly established regional branch. The accounting department consisted entirely of part-time employees, making me effectively the head of accounting there. I lamented what seemed like a clear demotion. During that time, Chris, who was the ace of the sales department back then, encouraged me. Despite often interacting with the sales department over receipts, our company's sales department was the star, while accounting was a dull and unremarkable department. There was a tendency to look down on us, making interactions with sales uncomfortable. But Chris was different. He treated me kindly and often took me out for drinks, not charging them to the company but splitting the bill. He laughed at my seriousness, but it seemed that was one of the things he liked about me. Chris encouraged me, saying, "It's not a demotion. It's a chance to prove yourself there and come back to the main office with a managerial position." Even though I wondered how an accountant in a regional branch could achieve that, he continued, "You were never afraid to tell us this isn't an expense. This restaurant won't work. That's wasteful. Thanks to you, we couldn't spend as freely as before, and our expenses went down. Didn't that contribute to the company's profit?" His words made me realize that even in accounting, I could contribute to the company's profits. It wasn't a dull job. That's what the ace of the sales department taught me. I continued working at the regional branch, obtaining my tax account certification. With a better understanding of taxes, I could help with tax savings and improve accounting efficiency. We no longer needed the outsourced tax accountant, making it highly cost-effective for the company. Those achievements, combined with the company's policy of promoting younger employees, allowed me to return to the main office as the accounting department manager. Of course, in this company where sales is the star department, accounting is female-dominated with high turnover, which is why there was an open position for me. While I believe my skills to still need improvement, a manager is still a manager. Chris welcomed me with a smile, glancing at a particular desk and frowning slightly. Be happy about becoming a manager, but keep a close eye on your subordinates. Otherwise, you might crush young talent. His ominous words made me sit up straight. Is something wrong? When I asked, Chris led me to the conference room. It seemed like a topic he didn't want to discuss openly. Once inside, he told me about a young woman assigned to the sales department due to her excellent training results and beauty, but who had recently been struggling with her health. Whenever someone asked if she was okay, she insisted she was fine, but she'd always seemed distressed during sales calls. She refused any offer of accompaniment and had been taking more sick days, leaving everyone unsure how to help. Is she off today, too? I asked. Chris nodded grimly. Then how about I accompany her? Chris looked surprised at my suggestion. If I say it's because I'm a newbie and want to learn, she won't be able to refuse, right? Maybe she thinks she can't rely on her superiors. Chris let out a slight groan, saying there might be something to that while putting his hand to his chin and thinking. I might be able to figure something out by accompanying her, and even if I don't, maybe she'll open up to a newbie during casual conversation. I wanted to help, but Chris gave a rueful smile. What about your own department? I realized he had a point. Right, I'll get permission from Mr. Owen, maybe for a few hours. When I bowed, Chris returned the gesture respectfully. I'll also talk to Mr. Owen. Please do this for me. With that, I bowed deeply again. When I finished my story, Emily's eyes widened. So you're actually the accounting department manager. Yes, sorry for deceiving you. Today is actually my first time observing a sales job. I apologized again, but Emily shook her head. No, I'm sorry for causing trouble to Chris and even to you, Henry. Her words made me sigh. There's no way it's a bother when a valuable subordinate is in trouble. It's more painful if you don't ask for help. But your health issues aren't just a cold, right? Emily hesitated, but then nodded slightly. I'm receiving medication from a psychiatrist, but sometimes I just can't get up in the morning. She explained that it always happened on days when she had to visit a company where Alex was present. Once I fall ill, it's hard to recover. I'm sorry, it's nothing serious. I just need to be stronger. Her words made me furrow my brows. Why do you think that way? Emily's eyebrows drew together. I've always been told that with a face like mine, I shouldn't take teasing so seriously, she said. They said it's because I take things too seriously that things go wrong. She seemed to have struggled with her appearance since childhood, especially someone like me. They said I shouldn't rely on my superiors. Now that I'm an adult, I should solve things on my own. Her words pained me deeply. Your appearance has nothing to do with it. It's the manager's job to take responsibility and solve problems. When something happens, please talk to us. Emily's voice trembled with tears. What should I say if I take such casual remarks seriously and complain? They'll just call me paranoid. Suggesting business dinners or asking for my personal contact information could just be their way of wanting to build a smoother business relationship. It was painful to watch her struggle. You've been told that in the past, haven't you? Tears finally spilled from Emily's eyes, large and glistening. If I just endure it, everything will be fine. My performance isn't bad. I'm contributing to the company. I just need to be stronger. I sighed softly. I'll report this to Chris along with my observation. I actually recorded a bit of our conversation. Emily turned pale at my words. Don't worry, I won't make a big deal out of it. From my perspective, it was harassment, and it's understandable that you're struggling. but Chris might see it differently. I just want to confirm." Emily seemed to wrestle with her emotions silently for a while, but eventually nodded slightly in resignation. 2 weeks later, I asked Emily, "Had you finished the check?" Emily looked at me with a bright smile. Yes, there were no mistakes. Seeing her lively expression, I couldn't help but smile back. That day, when I returned to the office and reported to Chris, he was furious, but then he immediately turned his anger inward. I should have been more attentive. She's so beautiful. It's not surprising things like this happen. I assumed she had no worries because she was so talented and chosen for the top sales role. That was my mistake. He blamed himself for not noticing his subordinate's distress, one of the reasons why I admired Chris. I suggested to him that Emily be transferred to the accounting department. Chris thought long and hard, pondering for a week. Surprisingly, Emily was one of the top 3 performers in the elite sales department until recently, and he was reluctant to let her go. He thought it over thoroughly. However, her performance had declined due to her health issues. Most importantly, her initial preference was the accounting department. After much deliberation, Chris recommended her transfer to Mr. Owen. In her place, a young man from the accounting department who admired the sales department eagerly transferred and is currently being trained hard. Though he seems to be enjoying it, Alex expressed disappointment at Emily's transfer. But Chris took over her client duties for a while, laughing as he said Alex was terrified of dealing with the former superior. One day, as I left the office on time, I heard quick footsteps approaching from behind. Turning around, I saw Emily, slightly out of breath. Do you have some time after this?" Having gotten through the busy end and start of the month, today marked the beginning of being able to leave work on time. "Is there something bothering you?" I asked. Emily smiled. "Can we discuss it at the restaurant?" I straightened my posture slightly and nodded. Emily chose a stylish Western-style restaurant with private rooms, offering a variety of dishes from trendy aglio e olio to my favorite fried chicken and salted squid. We ordered fried chicken, beer, and aglio e olio, which I tried for the first time, and toasted as I drank the beer. Emily watched me intently. Feeling a bit startled by her gaze, I put down my mug. Then Emily dropped a bombshell. "I'll get straight to the point. I like you, Henry." I choked on my beer and started coughing. "Are you okay?" I was not okay. There was no way a beautiful woman a decade younger than me could like me. "Don't joke around," I said, still coughing. But she shook her head. "I'm not joking. I know you don't have a girlfriend or a wife, right?" I raised my hand to stop her. "Please stop teasing this old man. I don't have much immunity to it, especially since I was just dumped." In reality, while at the regional branch, I grew close to a part-time employee. However, when my transfer to the main office was confirmed, she decisively ended things. She wasn't willing to leave her hometown. "You had a girlfriend? That's a bit shocking, but that means now is my chance, right?" Her sudden assertiveness was surprising. So I glanced at her beer mug. It was still nearly full. "I'm not drunk. I'm serious. Chris told me you better hurry. There are many women eyeing him, so I had to make my move." I was astonished to learn that Chris had been encouraging her. "Chris knows too." When I confirmed, she nodded with a smile. "Yes, he told me to ask him to be our matchmaker." I held my head in my hands. "Is it not possible? This isn't a joke or impulsiveness. Among all the men I've met, you're the one I trust the most. No one makes me feel as safe as you do. You were the first to look past my appearance and acknowledge my struggles." I had tried hard not to stare, but was that enough to be the one she wanted? With her tearful eyes pleading with me, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I gulped down my beer in one go. After being dumped, I thought I was done with marriage, but you never know where fate will lead you. Honestly, I'm still healing, and I never considered you a romantic option due to our age gap. But maybe we could take things slow. Trying to show some adult composure and not appear desperate, I replied, but she tapped the table impatiently. I want to get married soon. I can't wait. Trying to maintain my composure was one of the hardest things I had ever done in my life. Several years later, it hurts, but I'll do my best. It hurts holding Emily's hand as she endured the pain. I encouraged her with all my might. You can do it. I can't do much but cheer you on, so keep going. I handed her some water, feeling frustrated at my inability to help more. Since that day, we nurtured our love and got married. Now, at my age, I was about to become a father. Chris, who indeed served as our matchmaker, had asked for a photo of the baby as soon as it was born. Today, he had the day off from work. I wondered if he was eagerly waiting for it. As Emily bore down, Dr. Smith instructed her to relax, and soon our tiny baby let out a vigorous cry. Tears naturally welled up in my eyes. "Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much." I expressed my gratitude. Emily smiled tiredly. "I'm happy to be having your baby. I'm sorry it was so hard." Indeed, she had gripped my hand tightly and clung to me, saying she wanted to give up. But it wasn't hard at all. Whatever she did to me, it wasn't hard compared to what she went through. When I honestly shared my feelings, Emily grinned. "I want at least 2 more kids, so we'll have to go through this 2 more times." I nodded with a smile while Emily received postpartum care. I was ushered out of the delivery room and sent a photo to Chris. He responded immediately. He had indeed been waiting anxiously. His congratulatory message brought tears to my eyes. I'm surrounded by wonderful people. Emily, our newborn baby, and the children we will have. I want to protect them all. In order to do that, I need to stay healthy and live a long life, I murmured with a smile as I stood in the hospital hallway.